as an architect, from AWS aspect, they have few technical pillars. Okay, so those technical pillars are the cost optimization pillars they call. So AWS has got something called well architected reviews, and within that well architected reviews, they have this cost optimization pillar. Okay, so there are 6 pillars within the well architected review. As a solution architect, it is one of your responsibility to perform well architected reviews for your customer environment to ensure all the standards, security practices, best practices are in place for your customer. And one of the pillar is the cost optimization pillar. So cost optimization pillar deals with few of the aspects. So cost optimization, technical pillars or levers or options, whatever term you use. Okay, this is the cost optimization pillar within your well architected review. There are 5 different things. The number one thing, design for cost. Okay, always design for cost. Of course, the feature has to be there for the business requirement. So you will definitely go and look at the feature. Of course, you will look at the performance, you will look at the availability, you will look at the durability and all those things, capacity planning, so on. But on top of that, cost is also very important factor, right? When you go and design for it, so you need to keep in mind on the pricing principles, the pricing policies has to be clearly thought about, and you have to design for the cost. I'll come to what exactly I mean here. So architectural optimization is important, and the remaining things are quick win optimization. For example, right sizing is one of the pillar. Okay, and then decommissioning the stuffs which are not really needed, which are unused and kept idle, so you can go and decommission them. And you can also make use of the elasticity feature, like use the auto scaling or load balancing and those kind of features to kind of help reduce the cost. And similarly, you can have the reservations or reserve instances, and commitment is something which can help you to save a lot of cost. And then match the capacity to the need is very important. So it might look very much similar to right sizing, but I'm talking more on the storage aspect, match storage to the need. So you should not go and over provisioning something and end up paying a lot of money. Just give me a second here. Let me take some water. Okay, let's resume. Sorry. So right sizing, elasticity, and then okay. So instead of putting it as reservations, I will say choose the right pricing model or purchasing model. Okay, so that way you can also include the reservations, the savings plan, the what do you call what are the spot instances. So those options can also be okay. So match the capacity to the need. Okay, I will just call it as optimize the storage and the capacity sizing. Okay, that way it is much clearer. So this is not a one-time activity. You have to monitor it, or else you have to measure it, you have to monitor it, and then you have to continuously improve on the cost optimization. So it is a continuous cycle. Okay, so I think I had a slide for this. Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so these are the 5 cost optimization pillars of AWS, and the measure, monitor, and improve is a continuous cycle. It's not a one-time thing. Okay, it has to be continuous. Okay, let's talk about these things in details now. Um, so hope there are no questions, right? See, if you are not clear with something, just ask it right away. So the very first one is the right sizing. So right sizing is something which we end up doing regularly. And for example, you might create an instance with a particular size, maybe C4 dot C5 dot extra large, and then after 1 month or after 14 days of monitoring, minimum 2 weeks is required to analyze whether the CPU, memory, the network and the disk, the capacity, all these things, like whether it is being really used. So maybe after a month or two, you will realize that C5 large is not a best option. So C4 large might be a better option. So how do we get these kind of right sizing information? Whether there are the first option is you can leverage on the CloudWatch or the monitoring or the data that you are seeing from the monitoring metrics. But AWS doesn't want the customer to go and look into each and every instance, right? So reviewing performance for let's say thousands of instances is not realistic. So in order to review the performance, there are many tools. If you go into the trusted advisor, okay, so you will get a clear cut information on what is the current usage and stuff. Okay, let me show you. There's the trusted advisor. console.aws.amazon.com. Just a second, let me log in. I'll show you then multi-factor authentication. For now, let me skip it. So if I go to the trusted advisor tool, it has got the same kind of 5 pillars option, and one of the pillar is your cost thing. So you can optimize cost, performance, and security using this tool. So it's a kind of advisor option. This is available in Microsoft Azure also. If you go to cost optimization here, it will give you recommendations on what is the current consumption of your EC2 instances, where exactly you have over provisioned your EBS volume, where exactly you are not properly configured your ECR, so S3 bucket, so where exactly you can go and apply the reservations for your EC2 instances, which are the idle load balances, which are the idle RDS instances. It gives you a lot of information, which are the unassociated elastic IP address. So trusted advisor tool, it also gives you the options to go and right size the instance. So which are the instances which are over provisioned? There is a hundreds of check that are there, and out of which cost optimization check is part of your trusted advisor. So this is a very good tool to simplify the right sizing for your customers. So you will save the cost when you go and convert it from C5 large, extra large to C4 large, or if you are converting it from one. I mean, it's not like the version change. Of course, it should be the same version or the newer version, which will save you cost. So you can convert from C5 to C6 or C6 to C7, but it should not be the other way around. And the sizing should have to be less. Okay, extra large to large, or large to small, or micro, or whatever. So that way you will save a lot of cost. And there is another tool which is very widely used, is the optimizer tool, or compute optimizer tool for your EC2 instances. It will clearly tell you where exactly you are leaking revenue, how you can reduce the cost for your EC2 instances, where exactly you can configure auto scaling, and it is a free of cost tool, but you have to wait for the service to run for 14 days, and based on the 14 days utilization monitoring metrics, the CloudWatch will recommend this particular tool. In turn, this cloud optimizer tool will tell you where exactly you can go and convert or change the instance type to lower the cost and optimize the performance. So using cost optimizer, many customers have got up to 30% of cost optimization. On an average, it is 15 to 20% on optimization they have realized. And it will also clearly show you how much you are spending currently and how much you can right size later. So these are all readily available tools, and it is free of cost. There are certain advanced metrics. If you want to enable those advanced metric, you can pay for it, but I'll come to that part shortly. But AWS cost optimizer is one another automated tool which can help you to review the current performance of your environment in terms of the EC2 instances and the ECS clusters and containers, and you can change the instances to meet up the stuff. So next thing is the decommissioning, right? So decommissioning is what? Um, terminating the unwanted instances or unutilized resources or instances and so on. So it can be your EC2 instances, or it can be your RDS, or it can be your Lambda functions or anything, right? So if you are cleaning up the unwanted stuffs, terminating, then it will eventually get you all the cost benefit. Plus, very important thing, you need to follow the change process, right? That is very, very important. So if your organization says you have to keep the EC2 instance powered off for they might call it a cooling period or cool down period. So for 2 weeks you have to keep the server down, and then if there is no complaint, then you will go and take a what do you call, cool down period, or what is the other name, cool down, cool off, cool down period, grace period, or whatever they call it. There is another name. Okay, so you can keep that server for 2 weeks or 1 month based on the organization standard, and after which you can go and take a snapshot or a full backup, and then full AMI in AWS, Amazon Machine Image, and then terminate the instance. And you have to ensure that you're taking a full image backup or snapshot during those period. So you should not go and directly terminate it. You need to wait for the business to understand. Sometimes even after waiting for a month, some instances might be used only once in a quarter, or once in a half yearly, something like that. So those instances you have to properly tag it. You have to add the description clearly, and then say that this instances will be used only during the month of March, month of September, and this is a certificate authority server. This will be used very rarely. So you have to clearly call out the description so that the team does not go and terminate those systems based on the activeness or based on the utilization pattern. So some instances might be used once in a while. So you need to clearly document that instance, have a clear-cut description for those instances. So the engineers or the lead who is working on the cost optimization does not end up deleting those. So you also have to decommission the unattached IP address, public IP address, or the elastic IP address, and so on. So those are also going to be a chargeable thing. And similarly, unattached EBS volumes or any unwanted snapshots or unwanted images, the AMIs, I'm talking about AMI, the unwanted snapshots, the backups, all these has to be cleaned up. So maybe you need to have a proper retention policy. If you have a proper retention policy, automatically the cleanup of snapshot and the backups, the images will happen. If you don't have a proper lifecycle management and retention policy, then this is going to be a challenge. And similarly, I've seen a lot of environment having idle load balancers, what you call unattached load balances. When I say unattached load balances will be there without the instances on the back end, or without the target group on the back end. Then the load balancers will just be there. So you have to pay for that anyway. So that is something which you can terminate. And similarly, the idle RDS, Redshift instances, and all those things. So you have to there will be a lot of idle instances that also has to be identified. RDS, Redshift clusters, EC2 instances, ECS containers, all those stuff, right? So you need to decommission the unwanted tool set. So how do we identify it? The same thing. Trusted Advisor, Compute Optimizer, and similar tools will give you stuffs. So some organization might go and use third-party tools. There are tools like Cloudability, Densify, what do you call Cloud Checker, Cloud Health, Stacks. These are all tools from third party, but they also provide you very good information around the idle instances, right sizing instances. They have a lot of different algorithm. Let me show you that. So where I got that. Right sizing, so here it is, right? So yeah, the cloud ability, Densify, Cloud Checker, Cloud Health, Stacks, these are all very good tool which are widely used in some of the customer environment. So case to case, customers will have their own choice of tool. um, So this will help you to identify the right sizing activities or unused instances. These are some of the best tools that are available in the market. So either you can use the native options within the AWS. I've 90% I've seen that is more than sufficient, but sometimes you have to go and use some third-party tools for this thing. Just give me a second. I will attend this call. This is something. Sorry for that disturbance. Okay, so let's continue where we left. Also, decommissioning is something which you can get from the native tools. Native tools is what I would recommend, but there are third-party tools which you can also use based on the organization's decision. Coming to the next point is decommissioning, right sizing. So, right purchasing model elasticity and all this there, right? Okay. So, right sizing or elasticity. So make use of the elasticity nature of the cloud, right? Where you have options to use auto scaling feature, load balancing, elastic load balancing features, and always go and use the capacity to fit the need, right? Use the capacity to fit the need, to fit the today's need. Okay, some people will go and propose the expected peak demand in next 2 years or next 3 years. That is not good for cloud, public cloud. Maybe on premises, that is the only option you have. You have to go and purchase it for the next 2 years or 3 years capacity. That is how the traditional IT works. But cloud, you have to just use the today's fitment or the next 1 year or next 6 months of fitment, not for the expected, not for the expected peak demand or load. Okay, so that is something, yeah, if it comes to that situation, we can just go and utilize the auto scaling feature, or you can go and do a vertical scaling based on case to case. So always AWS allows you to fit the cost to today's demand. Okay, unlike your traditional IT, you don't need to provision resources months in advance or years in advance. You don't need to keep resources that are not needed for your business, not needed anymore, right? So you can just provision stuffs where you need. AWS provides you a lot of elasticity. You can go and upgrade, you can go and expand, you can go and add more nodes to your clusters or more nodes to your load balancers. So it takes few minutes, not months and weeks here, right? So it's very easy. So it's not going to be too much of eventuation here. So AWS lets you I mean, based on the demand, based on the workload, it gives you the option to go and utilize it. Sorry. So next one is going for the purchasing option. Always go and reserve the capacity based on the consistent usage. So this is a keyword that you need to keep in mind when you go and reserve it. Reserve for the reserve for the uh, consistent usage. Sorry, I was looking out for that word, not for the. Okay, so the noise is because of people joining in and going out. Okay, so reserve for the consistent usage, not for the peak load, as I showed you in the diagram. So the consistent usage might be at a particular level. If the consistent usage is at 4 GB or 8 GB, pay one, I mean reserve only that much. You don't reserve 64 GB or 32 GB based on the peak load. So RIs, you know that, right? Reserved instances, you are committing to a particular capacity consumption in exchange for a particular discount. So this is like a discount coupon booklet where you go and reserve for a particular year and a month. So reservations are applicable for many services, right? It's not just limited to EC2 instances. It is applicable for your RDS, Redshift, Elastic Cache, DynamoDB, and many other services. So AWS provides you two levels of commitment model in this. So commitment means you can go for 1 year commitment. 1 year commitment gives you lesser discount. 3 years discount gives you much better discount. So if customer is going to have the workloads running for 3 years, you get a lot of payback. Maybe like 10 to 20 months of cost savings you are going to get. Up to 75% you will get cost savings with reserving and committing for 3 year model. Whereas if you're going for a 1 year model, the reservations, the pricing is the savings is cheaper. You will get 20 to 40%, depends on the type of workload you are going for. So next one is the match storage class for your business need. That is the next pillar, right? Match storage to the need. So this is something you always, I mean, you might know before because like we discussed a lot around this during the storage class. So during the storage session, I explained about the different storage classes that we have. We have got standard class, we have got the glacier class, we have got the infrequent access class, and so on. So if your workload is going to be frequently accessed, put it in a standard class, so that way you get a different pricing. And if you have your workloads you meant it for long-term commitments, then go and put it in Glacier Archive, so that it is going to be cheaper for you. So based on the short-term and long-term need, you have to classify the data. So AWS provides you lifecycle management tool, which can help you to transition the workload based on the actual usage. So you don't have to really manually monitor and send the data. Instead, the lifecycle management tool will automatically understand the pattern and trend of your storage content and how frequently you access those data. And if you're not accessing the data frequently, it will move to the infrequent access tier category. And if you are not at all using it, it will move it to the glacier tier. And after a few months or couple of years, it can also delete. The lifecycle management tool is very, very powerful tool. It will help you to save a lot of cost on the storage thing. And you also have to choose the right storage class for your workload. And similarly, when you are choosing, let's say EBS volume, right? So EBS volume also has different categories. It has got general purpose, it has got provisioned IOPS, it has got throughput option, it has got cold storage and magnetic storage, and so on. So these different storage options, these two classes, it also differs from each and everything. If you're going and storing your data in cold volume, it is going to be 75% cheaper than the general purpose model. And if you are going and storing the data in throughput model, it is going to be 50% cheaper than the general purpose. So there is a lot of cost efficiency when you are going and storing it in different classes, right? 75% cheaper than I'm comparing it with the general purpose, the GP option. Okay, so based on that, as an architect, we need to help them choose the right option. Okay, so the next one is designing for cost. So there are many options which will help you to design for the cost. Especially you can utilize the spot instances where you get a lot of cost savings, up to 90% of the cost saving. For your non-production workload, you can definitely go and choose the spot instances. And for your pre-production also, you can utilize it, right? The spot instance is one of the classic example for understanding this. For the choose the model, for the appropriate workloads. So if you have a production workload, go for the on-demand or the reserved models. But if you have a non-production workload or test workload or a kind of performance testing workload, QA or UAT or performance testing workload, then you can go and run it on spot instances where you will get up to 90% discount. And if you have workloads where you have some queuing which will be used once in a while, or if you have some batch processing tasks that you will run once in a week or once in a month, then spot instances are a very good option for that. Even if you're talking about the big data workloads, Hadoop or Spark, even spot instances are very good because the processing or analytics work is going to happen once in a while. Even some of the organization are using it for CI/CD tool sets or CI/CD pipeline backend systems are running on spot instances because this will be invoked and used only when there is a need. It is not something which is continuously used. Even for some organization for video transcoding or some activities which happens once in a while, the format conversion or stuff, the spot instances are a very good option. So as an architect, you can achieve incredible savings when you are going for the spot instances or similar models in each and every options. So you have to design for the cost is what I'm trying to convey here. So as a solution architect, there are 5 different levers within your cost optimization, and these are those optimization levers. Just 1 second. Okay, team. Sorry, there is a weekend activity that is getting scheduled, so I have to approve that listening to what their plan. Okay, so now yeah, we have discussed about the cost optimization pillar. This is part of your well architected review. So as a solution architect, you have to understand how the environment is designed and configured. One of the pillar is for cost optimization. There are other areas like performance optimization and so on, but then this is more on the cost optimization pillar. So security and performance, we will get into the details later. So any questions so far around the financial management basics and pricing policy, pricing principle, and then cost optimization pillar? Any questions so far? So there are more than 15 to 20 tools that you need to be aware of. I will get into the details of each and every tool in details. But for now, at a very high level, any questions from anyone? Or if you want to understand certain things in a different perspective, feel free to share your view so that way we can discuss. Okay, so it's not that I have to decide on what kind of information I have to share it. Okay, even you can give some suggestions. So overall, okay, so as I told you, this is going to continuously evolve. Continuously, the things has to be measured, monitored, and improved. So coming to this point, as a cloud cost governance, there are few aspects which you can think about, and I can continuously use that in your organization. So this is something which we have been using it for many of our customer environment, and we have been successful with this framework. And even you can also use the same framework for delivering the cost optimization for your customers. Is my screen visible still?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I stopped sharing and reshared my screen. I just want to ensure. Okay. So the cost optimization cycle is this is how it works. Okay. This is the framework. So we have to identify the workloads for optimization, and then we need to analyze how much is the actual usage based on the CloudWatch monitoring or the compute optimizer tool or the trusted advisor or different tool set. We need to analyze what is the actual consumption. Then we need to go and recommend the savings with the business owner, application owner. They have to approve it first, and then you have to follow the change management process. And once the change management team approves looking at the recommendations and the analysis details, they will approve for the procurement and approval. When I say procurement, it's about changing the instance or whatever on the public cloud level, going and getting that service or implementing like web application firewall or shield or any tool set is also a kind of procurement that you do on the marketplace or AWS platform. Then once you get all the approvals in place from the business owner, application owner, and the change management team, you go and implement it, and you realize the cost benefit. So you have to continuously track it and repeat the same thing and again and again. So this is the cost optimization cycle that we need to do in your organization. So measure, monitor, and improve. This is continuous cycle. This is not a one-time activity. You have to continuously look for opportunities for improvement, and you can do it. So there are tools which can automate this. So based on the uh, uh, evolution or based on how you have done some activities in the past, you can go and create some lambda functions and similar tool sets to automate it. But cost optimization, if you do it with a lot of due diligence and proper checks, it will be much better instead of automating it. Automation is good, but sometimes it might end up as a escalation if it goes and removes something which is really needed for your business. See, automation can do magic, but on the other side, it might not do all the it might not check all the perspectives on case to case, right? Sometimes you might have to go and cross check the description. Sometimes you might have to talk to the business owner and then see why, what is the reason behind the system being idle for last 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So you need to talk to them. You need to have some conversations which automation tool might not be able to do. Okay, so try to have regular cadence conversation on the cloud optimization. Cloud governance is something which could be automated, but you also need to have a proper discussion and governance model for improving it. So the cloud optimization or the cost optimization, people always think it has to be done only during the run phase or when only during the operations delivery time. It's not like that. So operations delivery time, when we are into the run operations, of course we will get to know the right sizing options, the decommissioning, and whatever the things that we discussed today, right? The cleanup of the unwanted snapshots, images, the unattached volume, the backup cleanup. So all those things you can do during the you can perform during the run operations phase. But even during the project phase itself, when you are implementing things, you can implement with the right strategy. You can bring in all the tagging practices. You can also configure scripts to automatically power off the server, which is no longer needed after the business hours. Like the non-production systems can undergo scheduled power off, and you can configure the lifecycle management for your storage. You can configure cost anomaly detection, which is something I will explain a little later. And there are a lot of options through which you can implement cost optimization during the project phase itself, and even during the design phase itself. So when you are going and choosing the right support plan, right subscription model, right purchasing model, right discount model, and if you are setting up the environment aligned to the business requirements, you should not go and create resources in multiple regions or multiple availability zone when the availability requirement is only 99%, right? So only if the customer needs 99.99 percentage of SLA or availability, then you go and create the instances in multiple data centers or multiple region to achieve that particular availability and durability requirement. So always align your design based on the customer requirement. So also look out for options where you can bring your own licenses which is unused on your data center, or subscriptions which could be transferred from on premises to the cloud. So all these things has to be clearly thought upon. So cost optimization is not just during the run phase. It can be done even during the design phase. Even it can be done during the project implementation phase also. If you are touching upon the right areas and right stuffs, then there is a lot of room for cost optimization at a very high level. These points which I'm listing here can help you to do a lot of cost savings. For example, if you are converting your instances from Intel to Graviton processors or Intel to AMD processors, that also will save a lot of cost. I've seen customers getting 25 to 30% discount if they are migrating their workload from Intel processors to Graviton processor. Not only EC2 instances, even Lambda functions, the EMR, and many tools have got this option. So if you are converting it from Intel to Graviton or Intel to AMD, certain processors or certain instance family are cheaper. So rest of the point I've already talked about. See, always go for the latest generation. If you have, general purpose version 2 and general purpose version 3 in a EBS volume. So latest version will always be cheaper. And similarly in instance type also, if you're going for a latest generation like from T2 to T3 or from M4 to M5, most of the cases, 99% of the cases, the latest generation is always cheaper. So continue to migrate your instances, volumes, and storage from old generation to the latest generation to get all the cost benefits. That is something you need to keep in mind. And otherwise, yeah, scheduled power off, power on will help you to save a lot of cost, and bring your own license. Yeah, if you are setting up a very good CI/CD pipeline DevOps tool chain, that is also going to help you save a lot of cost by reducing the manpower needed to manually deploy the applications and so on. Always conduct a well-architected review. Today we discussed about the cost optimization pillar, but there are other areas like performance and security and so on, which we might touch upon later. So these are the important things. And see, when you go and look at the bill, you will see a lot of stuffs which are really not needed for your business. So maybe someone might have tested some marketplace offering, they might have subscribed to it, and then after 6 months, it will start a billable one. Maybe for the first 3 months, 6 months, it might not have come up with a bill because it might have 3 months free tier or a free trial, maybe 6 months free trial, and after which you will start paying for it, like how you subscribe to your Netflix or other subscription at home, right? So maybe you will go and subscribe something in Google Play or Play Store or any stuff, right? So maybe like first 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, it might be free of charge, and after which it will be a regular monthly bill might be there. So you have to unsubscribe for the stuff that you don't need from the AWS marketplace. Some people will go and deploy it. So there are a few more other things which we can also do by enabling the right level of monitoring and purchasing the right support plan. So these are all the points that I have implemented in many customer environment for any cost optimization exercise or opportunities, and we have realized 40 to 50% on an average in almost all the customer environment. So this is a guideline for today. So maybe we will also spend a couple of more. Okay, let me try to give you the list of tools which are used for the cost optimization. But the deep dive things, if you want to learn, yeah, you can follow the FinOps playlist, which will give you even other dimensions. If you want to work in multi-cloud environment or hybrid cloud environment, there are few more policies and framework that are applicable and available for consumption. Okay, any questions on the discussion that we had today? This is very, very important for solution architect. As a senior person, you need to help the customer achieve the realize the right benefits by implementing these techniques. So can I assume there is no question from anyone? I was expecting some questions around these topics because um, you had some questions during the other discussions, other topics around the same line. Anyway, so let's do this. Tomorrow, when we come back, we will discuss on the different tools that are available for doing all this cost optimization and stuff. There are many native tools available within AWS, where I have that list of tools. So when we come back tomorrow, we will discuss on these tool sets. Okay, so there are tools like Billing Conductor, Cost Explorer, Cost and Usage Report, and so on. So we will touch upon each and every tools that are listed here. Okay, one by one. So that way you get some more examples and perspective around cost optimization. So today we will conclude, if there are no questions, around the FinOps, the pricing policies, principles, and cost optimization pillar within well-architected review. Thank you for joining. I'll stop the recording. I'll be here for 2 more minutes if in case you have last minute question, or else